The night is young, and you find yourself alone once again on the farm. You think to yourself, best be quick, else the desert will be frozen by the hour. Little did you know, this night would change you forever. As you go to check on the animals out in the field as a last stop, a trail of blood leaves your curiosity rampant. Following the streaks and droplets, you find something atop your goat. Shotgun raised, you see yourself ready to fire at the coyote. The light from your shot shines bright, even if just for a moment, to reveal a creature. Skin tight to its body, blood smeared across its ugly, bug-eyed face, scars and claws adorn its outer self as the mere shock of such a sight leaves you stunned. What was that thing? Where did it come from? And worse, will it come back? I'm your host, Nate, and I'm here with my co-host, Joey, and follow us as we search the files for a deeper understanding, finding, and meaning behind some of the world's greatest mysteries, hauntings, cryptids, and mythos, and come with us as we attempt to take a delve deeper. But it's not just me and Joey today.
It is not. We have a fabled creature of the night himself here with us. And
hello.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Hi, I'm Brad. I'm one half of Dark House Productions on YouTube and TikTok. We kind of focus on all kinds of stuff monster-related. Monsters, myths, cryptids. You name it, we do it.
Yes. I brought in an expert.
Yes.
The people won't laugh at us about our arson bear theories anymore.
I was just gonna say we get a lot for the arson bears. They're coming.
Oh, yeah.
First it was the wolves, now it's the bears. Every cryptid's a bear. Right down to the teeth. We have brought him on to hopefully add some extra insight because we are here to tackle quite a beast itself, and we're going to be going over, if you didn't know, the goat sucker himself, the Chupacabra. And that's going to be our big boy today. But Nate, I think we have even bigger fish to fry today, as this is actually our first sponsored content of our entire career here. And so today I would like to thank our sponsor, W Energy, which is an energy drink company that comes in powder form. And let me just say, I have had many of their products, and if you have looked at D&D or looked into DED for my other content, my other channel, we have also been sponsored by them before, and they have come to me once again to sponsor this channel. And if you don't know, their flavors are absolutely delicious, and I love them so much. I actually have their newest tub. It's a lychee flavor. Very delicious. I love it. Ooh. Great. They also have one of my favorite, and I promote this on my other channel so often, is their mystery flavor powder. It's really, really good. If you've ever had the striped zebra gum mystery flavor that has been discontinued for ages, this will give you that kick. Dude. I love it. It is my favorite. I drink it just about every morning. It's my supplement for coffee because I used to be a coffee addict. And this is a non-jitter fluid, which I can wholeheartedly just 100% back because I drink it in the morning and I am ready to go. I go to my gym, I work out, I do my stuff, I make sure to get on here, do my production things, and it gets me started with my day. And if you want to go check that out, you can go check it out and use our discount code Patchwork Games, all one word, PATCHWERK Games. And where you're going to find it is wdubby.gg, and that's going to have all that stuff for it. And it's having a promotion right now. It's a buy one get one, so if you guys want to go get that and a nice 20% off, that's going to slash off the tax and fees for your delivery. And I hope you guys use it. Hope you guys enjoy it as much as I have. And I'm going to go ahead and say, let's get back into the Chupacabra, huh?
Chupacabra.
I got me a tub of that Calio cream coming, so I'm very excited.
It's gonna be great. I mean, I promise you that I don't sponsor stuff that I don't really care for. This is what I do. So
hell yeah.
But yeah, right back to the Chupacabra. This thing is probably my fourth favorite cryptid of all time.
Now I gotta ask, what are the other three?
The other top is Mothman. I've always been
Okay.
a
I
Mothman
knew
fan.
that.
I can dig it.
I was a Mothman guy. I grew up watching the
Specifically,
Mothman
super
movie.
caked up Mothman.
Oh, specifically,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
The one the statue's based after. You can stick a
Yes.
quarter in the crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got.
Hey, those funds help charity. Just
Oh
remember.
yeah.
So yeah, but I would have to say
Mothman's
Mothman. Second one, I really like the Dover Demon. I like that a lot.
Dover Demon's fun.
Most of the ones that I like are more alien than anything else. I was gonna say we did an episode on the Kelly Goblins.
Yes.
I like those
The
ones a lot.
owls. They were just
Yes,
owls,
the bulletproof
Joey.
owls. Bulletproof owls, of course. Bulletproof bear owls, actually. That were also arsonists. So, yeah, those are my top 3.
All right.
And then it's this guy, because he also looks like a damn alien, and I love it. But,
The
yeah,
Chupa's weird.
he's an interesting cryptid for sure. And if you don't know about the Chupacabra, that's crazy.
Where have
Maybe
you been
don't.
living?
Right.
Obviously not near the desert.
Because you have
that's where
Wi-Fi
they-
under that rock you live under, you know?
I know, huh?
Yeah, these things are insane. And if you look at them, their biggest features that they have is that they've got like very large fangs. They're kind of got really big buggy eyes. They tend to look a little, in their drawings and depictions, they tend to make more like a manged dog, a dog with mange, which is a condition for certain animals that make it like skin tight, make it dehydrated, make it look very feral. And that's what it's mostly tied to, and that's what people believe that it looks like. It's
I heard
But
somebody
there are
once describe it
things-
as like a. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I
you
heard
go
somebody
ahead.
once describe it as like a coyote rat.
yeah, I mean,
Which is
in reality,
Pretty damn accurate.
it kind of looks like that. And if you look at like depictions written or drawn by witnesses from like 1995-ish, you're gonna see that it looks really more alien-like. It's got really like the black alien eyes.
The spine.
It's kind of looking
sometimes.
like a reptilian species of alien. And obviously
I don't buy the dog with mange theory simply because of how some of the attacks are. I have seen a Rottweiler get a hold of a chicken before, not like it was an accident, you know, but it happened. And
they
don't-
demolish their
Yeah,
prey.
exactly.
That's the
There-
thing.
he
that's
didn't sit there
Right.
and
big
suck the
difference.
blood out of the chicken. He just
No.
sent feathers everywhere. Like,
Right. Yeah, it's way less gory. It's weirdly clean.
yes.
The attacks. Yeah, that's what's always kind of freaked me out about it.
And I'm actually gonna bring up later on that Skinwalker Ranch. Like I said, I've
Oh,
lived
yes.
next
Skinwalker
to it. I've lived next to it for years.
hell
I'm
yeah.
only about 45 minutes away from it. So
Oh,
I've
dude,
gone
jealous.
up to seen it. I've gone up and seen it multiple times. Obviously, like I said before, you can't go on property. It is a private property now.
Yeah.
But you can still view it. And like I said, the town nearby gets really weird when you talk about it. And if you go up and look at it, you get a weird aura, for sure. Like in a lot of ways, you know, I'm a big descriptor for it. Is like I've been a part of the community for it a lot. I've went and I go visit there quite often, especially during the summers, and so it's just such a weird place. But it does have tie-ins to the Chupacabra as well.
Okay.
So I will go through those later on, like I said. But I think it's such a weird creature because it's also tied to a lot of like vampirism with the drinking of blood of livestock and goats. And the first kind of rendition you get of this is the one that I have pulled up is like the first attested one is of March 1995 down in Mexico, and it's primarily in Mexico and the South Americas, so it gets seen its fair share in the southwestern United States. But
I was gonna say there's that whole golf course in South Carolina that freaked out for like a solid week, claiming a chupacabra was roaming the golf course.
yeah, and I have a post from I believe it's last year, June of last year, 2 years ago. My bad. It's no longer 2024. Yeah, I think it's interesting because the initial sighting of it, it was in Puerto Rico, if I'm correct, in 1995, and it's been reported as far north as about Maine and as far south as Chile, and
That's crazy.
even outside of the Americas, it's been seen in places like Russia and the Philippines, of all places.
And that's something that always
Gotta get-
blows my mind about it, is it's so recent, like just 95. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and apparently he's going on a world trip goat tasting tour.
You know.
Going to Russia.
well, that's what it is. You know, the aliens show up, they gotta taste all the fine dining. You know, you go to a new place, you gotta find the good restaurants.
I'm telling you.
Oh,
I'm saying it now.
there it was.
Every cryptid is alien. I made
Yep,
my case.
I was just gonna say there it was. We're what, 10 minutes into this recording about, and it wasn't even us this time, Joey.
Really?
All cryptids are aliens.
Well, that's the thing is, I actually, there's a theory out there that I actually strongly adhere to, not to get too far off topic here, but it's, that all things, like, supernatural, be it ghosts, cryptids, aliens, anything like that, is just your brain's way of filling in the blanks when it sees something it cannot truly comprehend. So that's
right.
why they say that kids are more susceptible to seeing like supernatural things, because your brain is trained your entire life to just like, nope, that doesn't exist. You didn't
It's
see that. You're
built in the
crazy.
cat.
Shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's been. I get really into a lot of the scientific aspects of a lot of it as well, and like one of the biggest things that happens is that, like you're saying, your brain tends to fill in the gaps a lot. Like, even when it comes to, I mean, if you've ever seen one of those posts on Instagram or TikTok or something where it's like, oh, read this paragraph, and it's got like weird numbers and stuff in it, but you can still read it as a regular paragraph, it's because your brain is filling in what looks like X. It's the same thing with Bloody Mary. If you look into a mirror at yourself in a dark room for long enough, your brain cannot... Yeah, it just starts making shit up. And it's kind of funny, because you think about that, in the desert, one of the things that happens a lot is if you've ever been in a desert, Utah is a desert, I've been in the desert my whole life. If you look at the roads for long enough, during the summer, they are a mirror, because it gets so hot, the road becomes a mirror down the line because the rock is turning to glass. And so, one of the things that you'll get is it's called, it's like road mirages, where you'll see cars that aren't there. You'll see cops that aren't there. You'll see a place like a 7-Eleven or something that's not. That was like the oasis of 7-Eleven, of course.
You see a freaking chupacabra.
Yeah, and it's just interesting because when you're in the desert, anybody who's been in the desert for a long time or has experienced this firsthand, which let me tell you, when you're driving down through to get anywhere, like I drove down to California a few times to go see my other co-host on my other show, happened to me. I like swerved out of the way. I assumed that there was a car coming head on. There was no car. It was just something that just I assumed it happened, and then I looked at it, looked back, everything, and I'm like, oh, it's the reflection of my own car.
Or was there?
Ooh, ghost car.
Spectre ghost. Yeah, but I also have a huge theory myself that I believe in, and I've told Nate about it 1,000 times on the show as well. Is that I also think that we're not able to see a ton of stuff, especially since we have knowledge of other, realities stuff, such as the first, second, third, fourth dimension, and then there's the fifth, which is oddly enough something we can't access. And if you know about like first dimension, second dimension stuff, if you were a character on a second page dimension, you would not be able to perceive the third dimension unless you had something that could let you see into it. So I like to think that there's some stuff, spirits and whatnot, things that are more like haunting related, I think are more likely to be dimension hopping beings, which are like easier to pass through into a separate dimension, so we get glimpses of it. Not
I'm of the
exactly
same mind.
see that. Yeah, like I think that's more acceptable in my brain than anything else.
I agree full-heartedly. Where it's more of a psychic phenomenon than a physical one. It's all perception. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Absolutely.
But it kind of ties in with the Chupacabra stuff, because I think that it does have a lot to do with what we see, and especially in desert settings, and including even in Russia and the Philippines. They also go through the same things. Like, Russia has reported snow mirages, which are the same thing as desert mirages, but in the snow. It's just interesting to see that these similar places have similar kind of like types of
phenomenon.
Phenomenon,
Here in Montana, we have a whole lot of nothing, and the roads go straight for like hours on end. And we've had, I've had several friends come and visit me up here from California or Texas or wherever, and it's just straight for so long with nothing. They're like, man, I feel like I'm like going under hypnosis, like I'm about to fall asleep or something, like.
Road hypnosis is no joke.
It's one of those things where if your brain stays idle long enough, it's gonna make something to do or think about or focus on.
Well, that's why you see colors when you close your eyes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting, and I think it has a lot to do with a lot of the cryptids that we do talk about. Like I said, here, I would be more inclined to believe that maybe you saw something that could have been, but it might have been like maybe you did see a passing dog, and then your brain went, oh, hey, this happened. But the most interesting part about this cryptid specifically that I find that makes it 100% more believable, and Nate, you will back me up on this 100% because I've said it before, Joey don't fuck with animals. This thing is like a lot worse than just a scary, spooky cryptid to me. Like, this thing straight up leaves no trace, really, of its kill. Like, the blood doesn't really get seen. It's more droplets and a little bit of smearage here and there. But this thing sucks all the blood out of it. It doesn't mangle something like a dog, right? And to me, that's the thing that makes this more believable than cryptid, because we've seen this before. This isn't something that's never happened before.
Not the first master of the art of sucky sucky.
Yeah, I mean, its head game is crazy.
Hell yeah.
But so the weirdest part for me is that this is something, again, that has happened a lot throughout history. If you've ever gone to Skinwalker Ranch, or you live in Utah, or you know something about it, or you've watched a documentary, or you've done XYZ things with it, this is where I kind of come in here with this. One of the stories is that one of the creatures there, the cow, the cattle either have been surgically cut open, no blood, no trace of anything, it's just cut open and some of their organs are gone.
Yeah, I heard about that, where it was like just so precise too.
Yes, it was so precise, it would have had to been done with medical precision, is what it is.
I don't know if I'm crossing a wire here. Wasn't there the one that like it was almost like dissected and the organs were almost organized next to it or something like that?
Yes, yeah. You're thinking it right. There is a couple stories that, like I said, hail to the same idea that like these things are strategically opened or their blood is taken out. One specifically, there was a time where one of their cattle had been found in the same way that the Chupacabra has been noted to attack, where it's two small incision points and the cow is completely dry. No blood, no cuts, no mangle marks, no claw marks, just 2 puncture marks. And the thing about it that makes it so interesting here in Utah with Skinwalker Ranch is that when they went to observe it or take like photos or video or anything, obviously in Skinwalker Ranch, a big thing is that their electronics don't work around test subjects, is what they say. So my biggest thing with this is the same idea comes to mind with the Chupacabra as the same with Skinwalker Ranch, where like these things are found impossibly killed, right? We don't have a single creature that can do that. And the closest creature that's ever been recorded to have the same abilities is a bat. But a vampire bat is not going to have the capacity
Doesn't suck that much
to kill a cow or even a goat, which a goat would be more manageable, let's be honest, it would. But
well, yeah, but it's still it still wouldn't do that much because vampire bats are not like flying foxes. They're actually not that big.
No, they're tiny.
No, they're itty bitty. They're like the size of your hand.
Yeah. And when they do take, they don't inject anything. They lick. They have barbed tongues. Yeah. So they just lick the cow off of like its blood. So I mean, it's not even similar in the way that it eats.
I keep standing outside naked at night and nothing happens. I'm so disappointed.
You're like, come on,
come on, just one.
Goat sucker, please.
There was that whole it was Billy and Mandy was the cartoon, and Dracula showed up, and they were like, "Are you gonna bite him? Are you gonna bite him?" And he go, "Dracula don't bite. Dracula do the lick and suck."
Yeah, I remember
or the
that.
scrape and suck. That's what it was.
Yeah, the scrape. I
The
hate
scrape and suck.
that wordy.
That was my nickname in college, actually. Weirdly enough.
Scrape and suck.
Yeah.
Good old scrape and suck.
$20 is $20.
Hell yeah.
That's drinks. That's drinks, man.
Made a whole $40.
Paid for the whole night.
Weird that it happened twice. But yeah, and it's so funny too that the sightings of these guys, I know, just jumping right back into it, the sightings of these guys really started, like you said, Joey, in 1995, but they were like wasted no time in being picked up by people. X-Files in 1997, so only 2 years later, had an episode called El Mundo Gira. I don't know if I'm butchering that. Probably. It's fine. I'll get hate mail. It's alright. But they featured the Chupacabra in that. And then, of course, it's had several movies of its own, including Chupacabra versus the Alamo, which is hilarious.
Dude, I love that movie so much. It's so bad.
It's so bad. Yes. And then it was in Grimm, too. That's another TV show that was in the, 2014, I think?
It was a while back. 10 years. It's crazy.
I know, I feel so old sometimes.
Oh
Yep.
boy. I got
remember in
cold,
my
like
day,
I
the
said.
Chupacabras didn't have no crazy straws.
Yeah, I feel weird because, like I said, I'm a 2000s baby, and the other day I got called old at a Hot Topic. So
That's right. I went to a friend's birthday party just this past Saturday, and everybody in the room was a 2003 baby. Like, they all went to school together, and then I was the creepy old man there. I was a 93 baby, and so
92
okay.
here. Woohoo!
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy to me though. So Nate, one of the biggest things that I found is that in 1975 there was a series of livestock killings in a town of Mocha, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That was attributed to something called the Vampire of Mocha, and they suspected that the killings were made by a satanic cult. But later, more killings were reported around the island, and many farms reported animal life loss. And each of those animals reported had to have had their body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. So.
Was this the one in Arecibo, or was this the one in Barceloneta, or Las Piedras, or?
I just know it's in the town of Mocha. That's what I found.
Okay.
In 1975. There is some ones I see in Cavanovas,
Yes.
I can't. I think I'm completely butchering that name, but you know what? It's fine. Yeah.
So the one that you just mentioned was 1975, right? And people thought it was a vampire. Now it's speculated it may have been the Chupacabra. I have one more, 1 year earlier than that, but that is Arecibo.
Here we go. He's trying to one up. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I specifically saved this one for you, Joey. It was right up your alley. Allow me to read this to you. In 1974, scientists sent Arecibo, the government of Arecibo, I don't know where that is, I'm assuming it's a town in Puerto Rico, a message that was heavily encrypted and seemed to contain things they couldn't understand. So locals believe aliens sent back some genetic code to create some kind of hybrid, making the Chupacabra potentially an alien. There it is.
Told you. Chupacabra's an alien. It's always the goddamn aliens.
Hell yeah.
Chupacabras are sea creatures.
And that's the thing is, like, there have been cases, I mean, I just through my own research years ago, I don't have any, like, specifics or anything, but there are cases of exsanguination, like, in Europe and everything. There's some in France and Germany where they thought it was werewolves. And so it just goes to show that you know, again, me being, like, fascinated by this stuff, but always the eternal skeptic as well, like, I always try and look at it very objectively, where, you know, if this is a thing, it's probably way, way older than 95, just 95 happened to be in the middle of the dawn of the information age, where, you know, you your whole day, you don't see a yellow car until somebody says something about a yellow car, and that's all you see the rest of the day. You notice all the yellow cars. Where it's this thing that starts happening. It's been happening for, you know, time immemoria, and then somebody finally comes up with a name for it and popularizes it, and then it's like, oh, now we're going to see it all the time.
Yes. It reminds me of the phenomenon of, like, people are like, here's proof we're living in a simulation. Have you ever seen your neighbors bring in their groceries? And then so many people are like, no, I haven't. I've never seen that. They have to have groceries. Like, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where you can be, like you said, Brad. Do you prefer Brad or Bradley?
Either works. Call me whatever the hell you want. Dumbass doesn't work. You know.
All right. So here's what I was saying. Sweet muffin thing.
There you go.
It's that thing, kind of like you were saying with the yellow car. It's crazy how one piece of media, one sentence from somebody, one thing that triggers something can influence you for so long.
Right. Well, that's the pattern recognition in the human brain. And that's why we get so fascinated by this stuff. Like, another great example. You ever seen
Mary was in the toast?
Exactly. That sort of stuff. Or like when you watch a video that comes across in, like, you know, on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and it's this fucking horrifying monster that's eating some sort of goo or something, and it's like you cannot comprehend what this is, and you're trying to put it together, and you're just coming up with more and more horrifying stuff until you turn your phone like 90 degrees and realize, oh, it's a video of a German Shepherd eating peanut butter, and your brain just couldn't perceive it from that angle. And it makes me wonder just how many of these sightings of different things, or even the Chupacabra, like you guys had mentioned earlier, where you just see something in the dark and it was fairly mundane, but, you know, your brain labeled it as this hideous monster. But that said, that doesn't explain the exsanguination. That's like, you know, draining all the blood.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest part.
Yeah, for me, it's always the what happens, not the what it looks like. Because I'm on the same spectrum. I'm actually quite skeptical when it comes to a lot of these things. Like, I think I have quite an opposing view to most people, even in my state, when I think, like, I don't really think we've kind of done this big episode. Our most popular episode is like Sasquatch. We did Sasquatch,
a good one.
Dog on that. And one of my things is that I don't believe in Sasquatch that much, because it is a large creature with fur.
I'm right here, Joey.
I know. But to be honest, like you said, I've never seen you in person. Who are you? What? I don't even know. Are you even real? I'm just on the show by myself.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say the entire time I'm just on the show. I'm actually just doing 3 different voices.
Yep.
Never be.
Have you ever heard of Nate bringing in his groceries? I don't think so. You
I
know.
don't think so.
That's right, yeah.
Give me a video.
I
proof
filter
now.
feed like a sea sponge.
But I think
Dan, that
it's
was
so...
such a good impression of filter feeding.
Oh, I think of the friggin'. I used to have a fish named Bubba, and he would suck the algae off the tank.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great.
But 1995, 1974, 1975, all these times too are also before, kind of like you said, Bradley, it was the height of the information age, but no one had a cell phone. Not everybody had a cell phone with a camera on it or whatever. And now everybody's got a camera, like, all the time.
Yeah, well, at least they're more accessible at that point. And that's why I think, like I said, like, I think it's so weird because I just don't believe some of these. But like, what was it? The Jersey Devil is one that I like full-heartedly believe because
that's Leonard's baby.
It acts the most like a creature than most cryptids, and that is more terrifying to me than like, ooh, spooky goat man. It's like, no. This thing is a beast. It could kill me. Like if I go out in the forest, you know, like we were laughing about how Napoleon and the Jersey Devil met and how he started firing off shots, and I was like, you gotta realize, like, that was like a 2-minute reload. So if you shot, you were not good. You better damn well hit that thing, or you know, like.
Right.
We also got to take into account that it's Napoleon, right? It was in Napoleon, so like he's an experienced fighter. So his shot is much better off than mine, even with now. Like I don't shoot guns very much, but I have. But yeah, I think the Chupacabra kind of aligns a lot with the Jersey Devil for me, where it's like, if it was anything, it is definitely a creature to me. Just putting the alien thing aside, like, as much as I believe that most cryptids are alien-like and resemble aliens, I think it could be a creature, and that's more horrifying to me than if it was just a blood-sucking fake cryptid boy. Like, no. I don't fuck with bears. I don't fuck with wolves. I don't fuck with a lot of animals. And this is another one.
And it definitely does seem animalistic because since 1974, 75, 95, wherever you guys would like to start it, because those first two were attributed potentially after. That first sighting was reported in 95 though. But like since then, they just haven't really slowed down. For instance, there's been recent reports in Barceloneta, jeez, if I could talk, Puerto Rico, that were
Little
rumored,
Barcelona.
that were rumored to start after Hurricane Maria in 2017, and they thought the hurricane brought it there. There's a wildlife expert tracker named Ernesto Marquez, and down in Las Piedras, and he gets 75 to 100 calls about attacks easily a year since the 90s. So, like, it hasn't slowed down either.
Well, that's another thing, is you gotta think, how many species of animals are discovered every year? I mean, sure, a lot of them are like fish and spiders and bugs and stuff like that, but tens of thousands of species, new species that were previously undiscovered, have been identified.
Thought extinct as well.
Right. And I mean, you gotta think how many animals that we know of today started out as, you know, a cryptid. The gorilla. The gorilla was a cryptid, where you had European colonizers going to the African continent and going around and just hearing these stories about this giant man-eating, huge, hairy, you know, freaking bear man that was strong as 8 men and had big fangs and was 8 feet tall. And then, sure as shit, a few years later, they find the damn thing in the woods, and they're like, oh, well, okay, that's an animal, that's not a monster. And I mean, the thylacine in Tasmania, like, that was a whole, it's like a striped fox thing, but no, it's like a whole ass animal.
Yeah, that one's really cool though.
It's quite interesting to know about all these different we're talking, it's like cryptids can be sometimes more real than we like to think.
Yep.
And that's the crazy part that I love about them. To the point where it's like, there's plenty of them that come to fruition and they're like actual myth, right? Like, I mean, you could take dragons, for instance. It's not really a cryptid, but in reality, you think back then, we kind of talked about it, somebody could have found an old T-Rex skull or some kind of dragon like big lizard skull out in the wild, or discovered it archaeological find, and then they just go back to their buddies. They're like, oh hey, I just want to let you guys know I killed this thing. And they're like,
well, it's
what?
Same thing with mermaids being manatees and dugongs, and like
manatees being mermaids.
The idea that unicorns were just early rhinoceros sightings.
Real
Stuff like
unicorns
that.
have curves.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it's interesting because one of my favorite things about
Christopher Columbus also definitely fucked a manatee. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was just gonna bring
I
that up.
believe that 100%.
I was gonna just bring that up just now. But I think that's super funny because I love that story so much, because he's like, it was beautiful, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and you're like, well,
manatees, the ocean fucking.
Homie, you need to raise your standards. I know you've been on a boat with a bunch of dudes for months, but like, come on.
Dude, I get it. You drink a couple bottles of rum back, you start to see things that maybe aren't all what you think, But I was like,
beautiful woman I've ever seen. I named her Sharon. Okay.
She went back into the sea after we were done. You're like, okay. Yeah, but I just think it's so funny because
Whitest kids did a skit about that.
Manatees are so like, if you ever interacted with a manatee or seen them, they're quite docile. They're really docile animals. So like,
super friendly.
Yeah, they'll just come up and start touching you because they're curious. So
that's what it was. He didn't necessarily fuck a manatee. A manatee came onto him.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was like, listen, it was consensual.
Yeah, like Christopher Columbus was a bastard, but that's what it was. He was just chilling in the shallows, and it came up, and it's like, ooh, hey, and he's like, hey, yeah, hell yeah. You've been
saying,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, she never said no, so I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's how you know that she's right.
I love it when you talk dirty like that. Oh, good.
So yeah.
Now here's the question: did Christopher Columbus fuck a chupacabra?
Oh, now, I don't think you can get close enough.
100%. No kidding.
I don't think you can get close enough. Like I said, I think personally, chupacabras are not as vicious as we think. But man, have you seen some of the So there's some like chupacabra pictures, right, of the animals that are deceased that have gone through
Oh
this.
yeah.
Those holes are not always very small.
No.
In fact, there was that was one of the other sightings I was going to talk about. That's really recent, actually. This just happened 2 years ago, 2023, out in Belize. I just want to make sure I have that right. Yes, Bolivia. Excuse me, Bolivia.
Yeah, Bolivia. With the are you looking at the one on the New York Post?
Yep. Yeah, and it's showing it shows drone footage, which is funny. I was just talking about the cameras, but it's a drone footage, and they supposedly have a picture of it. It's really hard to tell in that picture, to be honest. But
not very well photographed at all.
Right. But the holes on the animals are, and holy crap!
Actually,
like the entire eye socket of this goat.
Sucked out.
So what would you say is the dumbest theory you've come across for the chupacabra?
One theory that I hate so much that just like I can't stand when people say, "Oh, it must be, some people in a cult, or somebody in pulling a prank, or somebody, like they're just doing, this is just what people do." It's like, come on. I hate to be that guy, but it would take millions of dollars of equipment to accomplish what they're accomplishing.
So that's kind of my least favorite theory. Is very, very similar to that, Joey, but they did use millions of dollars. So there's an author named Benjamin Radford, and in 2011 he wrote a book called Tracking the Chupacabra. And after everything he did, all his eyewitness testimony, all this stuff, he thinks the original eyewitness in Puerto Rico, Madeline Tolentino, was talking about Syl, which is the creature from Species, which came out in 1995, coincidentally, at the same time.
Oh.
So, like, I get why that theory is there, but it's my least favorite. I want this to be a cryptid, not just some asshole.
My least favorite one is I saw at one point somebody had hypothesized that it is a subspecies of Smilodon, like a saber-toothed tiger that survived. And I was like, that's so freaking stupid. Like, no, it's not. First off, that'd be too big.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see something.
But also, like, no.
Yeah, the only thing I've ever seen that would ever lead credence to that, we talked about in one of our alien files, where this lady said they were taking things back to basically make hybrid stuff and put them back on Earth, and it started with reptiles, and that's why dragons were a thing for a while. And it was a deep theory we got into on one of these alien files. I was like, this is a lot.
It's interesting because with every single cryptid that we've come across, there's always some weird explanation to it. What were we talking about? The Jersey Devil. Somebody was like, "Oh, it's these bats," and we were like, "The bats are big, but there is plenty of record. Thousands of people saw it atop a trolley car, and it was
a church,
the whole 9 yards in the daylight." Right? That's the thing that Jersey Devil really brings to the table for me as realism, is that this is a beast. It does not give a fuck if it's daytime. It doesn't care if it's nighttime. It goes out when it wants to.
It has that animalistic behavior where it behaves as a creature would.
And that's the thing that I get so the Jersey Devil to me, it's like, even if it's dead now and extinct now, it could have been alive up until that point. And that would have made it 10 times more realistic and more scary and more investing for me than, say, Sasquatch. We've never ever found anything. We've got some footage of something, and we've got some footprints of something. It's one of those things where we just have thousands of sightings, and these sightings go from either horseshit wild or the most believable thing in the world. Or it's like,
it was not logical, Joey. I didn't want to.
I'm sorry. I showed myself at the Walgreens.
I'm from eastern Ohio, so we're right at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and the Appalachian Mountains are some of the oldest mountains on Earth. And there is so much weird shit. I'm only, I think, I want to say 3.5 hours from Point Pleasant, with Mothman. I've never been. I want to go desperately. I think that'd be super cool. But there is shit in those woods. Whether it's just animal that's really good at staying out of view, weird shit happens. And that also goes back to the whole with the Jersey Devil. I have a theory about the Jersey Devil that it goes back to the yellow car theory, where it's you have the first person that saw something. They saw something weird, and their brain put it together as the bat wings, big long tail, horse head, fangs, and red eyes, and all that jazz. And then he told Larry down the street, and Larry has that in his head, and then he sees something weird, and his brain, with that being the most recent weird thing he's heard, went, oh shit, it's gotta be that. So whether it's an actual thing, or whether it's just that whole, game of telephone going on, where And with it being close enough to the Appalachians, that just goes to show that there's weird shit in the whole
There
East
is
Coast of
weird
the US.
shit. I mean, I talk about it
I wanna-
a couple times, but the brown mountain lights, the ghost lights in Appalachia,
Yeah.
such an interesting thing. Such an interesting, like, people have theorized tons that it's like, oh, it's actually just ball lightning, and I'm like, to occur every night for that long, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, no, not only is there weird stuff there, but like it let's see, how do I want to word this? It in itself is not so wholly alien that I like couldn't believe it, but the descriptions, like you were saying, Brad, they can get wild, and a part of that makes me think it might be people in the past either had too much imagination or just were really bad at describing things. Because Joey, like when we talked about our dragon episode and we read the first ever description of an Asian lung, it was like buffalo ears and deer antlers and a dog's nose, and like it was.
Well, we also talked about how they only describe things based on what they knew. So like it's hard to say this and bring it to light, but let's say you live in a part of the country at the time that you did. There's no cars, there's no planes, there's no transportation or ways or cameras or things like that. It's the same thing with the yokai and stuff like that. It is so hard. Imagine your whole life you've only seen a few select people and a few select animals. You don't really travel much, you don't really go anywhere, so you describe things based on things you know. So if you were like, I know that this thing has a nose, it kind of looked like a dog. I mean, if you ever kind of talk to a sketch artist for the police or anything, it is very interesting because you are taking witness accounts and drawing something off of words. It is incredibly difficult to be precise with it because unless you see the person for a prolonged state of time and you completely understand the anatomy of the human face, you're more than likely not going to be able to perfectly describe someone. Like, even if you described yourself, the most I could describe myself would be like, oh, if you were to look at me, I was going to say, if you were to able to look at me, even though this is just a voice podcast, I have the bone structure in my face like Johnny Depp, but I have an elongated chin. That is the only difference. Like, you can kind of see it, but what you're thinking of probably doesn't look like me.
Yeah, because my brain went straight to, like, Crimson Chin Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, pretty much, actually. So
but that goes to show that you know, eyewitness testimony is unreliable. That's why they don't use it as proof in court. And, you know, human history is the history of the oral tradition, where you have people who just want to tell stories. And everybody, especially myself, I'm a great liar. Everybody loves to embellish these. Exactly. Everybody wants to embellish these stories to make them more, like, one, it makes you look cooler when you have a cool story, but two, it makes it more entertaining for other people. And so a lot of things like that, it makes me wonder if, you know, yes, we've found bodies that have been drained of blood, but, you know, when the person saw something, it's that, you know, the fisherman catches a fish and it was this big, like, it was a huge fish, you know, it was a shark, it was a whale, could it be they saw something fairly mundane and just jacked the story up to make it cooler, to make themselves feel cooler, or just to entertain all the people at the bar, you know?
And that brings to mind my favorite theory for this specific cryptid is that the guy that first came to, you know, all these outlets and stuff to tell about the goat sucker, right? And his goat. My favorite theory is that
the children's book of the Chupacabra.
It died from a large incision of something. Something came and ate out its eyes, a bird, whatever happened. and he just forgot about it. He's in the desert, and the thing about deserts that you'll know, things dry up very, very quickly.
Mhm.
Especially in this area where it resided. Gets up to about 112 degrees daily. Leave that out in the sun for even 2 days. It's gonna look like that. Like, I hate to say that, but it's gonna look like that. And you cannot catch it right after it gets killed, right? Unless you're right there and you see it happen. Which, like you were saying, Brad, is like, oh, well, you know, he could have seen it or whatever. You know, somebody could have said something and just to exaggerate it. It could have been, oh, well, I found it like this morning. And then in reality, you didn't check 2 days. You come out the third day and it's like, oh, shit. This happened today. You know, it's like
dried up. It already has a rot mark on the bottom where all the blood drained out. It's desiccated. Like, yeah.
And that's my favorite theory.
That brings up something interesting. Is that a lot of these theories are down south and usually with the desert and stuff. And Joey, you talked on it a little earlier about mirages can happen in all these different places due to these different effects. So it's really curious because it's also supposedly been spotted in Russia. So obviously, if it is reptilian-like, it's not one that is cold-blooded because it doesn't care about the snow if it's in Russia and here. Assuming, of course, this is real. But it also...
I would also say it could happen, though, because, I mean, if anybody's heard of something, it's been all over TikTok, freeze-dry.
Yeah. And I was going to say snow blindness and snow mirages. What if it's found a way to adapt and almost use the mirages as, like, cover? Like, somehow, I don't want to say it's creating them, but somehow it's able to pick up where, like, heat waves intensify to cause these.
Are you saying that the Chupacabras in Russia are actually the Yetis?
Arson bears. They're all arson bears.
I'm telling you. That's true.
Well, that even goes back to the whole idea of supernatural perception is...
Yes.
You know, people seeing weird shit and they already have a preconceived notion in their brain. And so that's what we need to do. We need to get a bunch of, like, 3 and 4-year-olds that don't have all the indoctrination in their brain already. Send them out to these areas.
Yeah, send them out there by themselves. Some camp gear, snacks.
A couple water bottles, give them some Hershey Kisses, you know, we'll be set.
Do not talk to them or see them for 3 days.
Yeah.
Let them run wild. Then we'll see.
Yeah.
Then it'll come back with a whole bunch of new
I see no downside to that.
No downsides. I said, wow, well, one of the kids got eaten by the Chupacabra. You see, we told them how to turn the safety off on the gun. This is actually their fault for not firing first.
Yeah.
All I'm picturing,
that's
unfortunately,
it's not child labor; it's child exploration. That's
true.
There's a difference.
True. Yeah. McDonald's.
So the only thing I'm picturing, the only thing I'm picturing for some reason is a bunch of kids, innocent, bright-eyed, all excited for this trip, going off into the jungle. 3 days go by. Like half as many kids come out, and then they're interviewing like little fucking Jimmy in the front, and he's like, "We were the sunny day exploration class in '94. We were twice this many when we went in."
Okay, Jimmy, you're gonna have
I'm
to
gonna go do taxes now.
You're gonna have to
Jimmy's got that 1,000-yard stare, looking haggard, smoking a cigarette. They came out of the tweeze. It was crazy.
They came out of the tweeze. No.
Chupacabra's in the tweeze.
And for some
like
reason, they were speaking Vietnamese.
Yeah, none of the kids could agree on how to pronounce Chupacabra. It's like, I just chooped an after, came and ate, fled, and it was crazy. Stuff's always bled out. It was nuts. It's your freaking wizard wolf.
A million different ways to say Chupacabra and none
the
of them
Hoopa Hail Hydra.
I'm telling you.
I see no downside to this. We should do that. What do you call it? The Sunny Day Jungle Exploration Group?
Yeah,
I can get behind that. I might, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to make a TikTok video about that now. The Sunny Day Jungle Exploration.
Yes, do it. Yes,
I love that.
tag me in it.
I will.
I love that.
But as far as I'm concerned, I think the Chupacabra, in my personal opinion, I think if it's anything, it relates so heavily to the like Skinwalker Ranch aliens to me that
Okay.
I kind of have to, at least on my perspective, I would give it more closer to it's either like an alien, because it kind of looks that way. I mean, even if you like look at the drawings and stuff of it, it just looks that way to me. And I'm like, its powers, it doesn't really have powers. Yes, it sucks the blood out of something, but even if that was the case, like, what would they be doing with all of it? It makes more sense to me that, like, if you're going to analyze something for science, why wouldn't you take all of the blood out of it?
Right. It's more bizarre than it is spooky.
Yeah, it's an odd thing, and, like, obviously, we don't know of a creature to date that can do that, right? And especially with we are also aware that it would take millions of dollars to be able to do something like that. But I am also attuned to give it the credit that I think people just leave their animals out in the desert and they don't check on them as often as they think they do.
Yeah.
I mean, you take anything in the desert or in somewhere that's super cold, it'll freeze dry it. I mean, even in Russia, like I said, it gets so frigid there. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a goat or a cow freeze dry out there. It's
I mean, and
how the
something like that. Have you ever found like a frog that got into your garage or something like that, and it went underneath a table, or like a mouse or something like that, and it died? And you smell something out there, and you're like, man, something died out here, and you find it like a month later, and it is just skin, bone, and squish. Like there's no juice in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that theory. I think I can get behind that. I never really thought of it that way, but I can definitely get behind that theory.
I think just for me, it makes the most sense. Either it's an alien that's sucking out all the blood for research, or it's just somebody's forgetful.
Good old-fashioned human negligence.
There's one aspect of this Chupacabra we have yet to really discuss, Joey. And Brad, I know this is your first time being a guest with us. I'm not sure if you've listened at all, but we have an ongoing tradition here at Delve Deeper called the Cake Chart, the Cryptid Cake Chart.
Color me
And
intrigued.
Mothman is so it is the amount of cake, and yes, that type of cake that a cryptid has. Currently, Mothman sits at the top because can't deny that.
Yeah.
And I believe our bottom is Wendigo right now, currently.
Yeah, because he's skin and bone.
Yeah, they're bony.
No ass whatsoever.
Yeah.
I feel like
how caked up is this Chupacabra? Because it is from Puerto Rico. That is
the
Carnival
drawings,
area
That is
and
a
stuff.
good point.
In the drawings, I will say, like
that's
he's
Rio,
kind of
but,
positioned in like a little squatting position, and I will say, I'd be like, man, if he's as flexible as that, I gotta say, he's gotta have something on him.
Getting them glutes going, yeah,
Yeah, that squat power, come on.
See, I'm of the mind, I'm kind of in the opposite direction, because a lot of the illustrations I've seen, like, I've seen those where it's squatting kind of chunkier. I've seen the one where it's very lithe and slender and almost desiccated itself. So I don't know. It's there's no in between. It's one or the other. It's one extreme or the other. Either this thing is double cheeked up, or it is like
I gotta say, it's a little more. I would put it above Wendigo for sure. Wendigo is like Wendigo. Pure bone.
Yeah.
Right. So okay.
Yeah.
So it
somewhere
is
above Wendigo, but I would say below the Jersey Devil, because the Jersey Devil is supposedly very good at leaping.
I was just gonna say.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do have Jersey Devil currently at right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay, so we're in the lower
agree.
50% then.
I would agree. Right, I would say below Jersey Devil, because the rest of the ones that we talked about so far, I just think have a little bit more. They're a little bit more rump, plump in the rump, so to speak.
So it currently
I might be throwing a spanner into the whole works of your chart, though, because I know that there is the one big old titty demon from, I think it's the Philippines or something like that, or somewhere in South Southern Asia, where it's just a giant pair of boobs with a head. Like, is there also the
Probably a
booty
yokai.
demon?
Oh, I'm sure.
Like,
That's
if there's
me,
just-
actually. I'm the booty demon. No, I'm just
They're
kidding.
gonna have to
Oh,
clash.
hell yeah!
They're gonna have to clash with Mothman's position. Legendary
so-
money ass.
So then the list from top to bottom then.
Welcome to the ass bowl.
Yeah. Welcome to the Thunder
Coming
Cheeks.
soon to a Delve Deeper.
Hell yeah! Cheeks will be clapped.
Exactly.
Yes. So then the current list from top to bottom goes Mothman,
All right.
and then right under Mothman would be Sasquatch.
Okay.
Under Sasquatch we have Squonk.
Yeah, the Squonk, he's definitely got some. He got
Interesting.
some.
A
Okay.
little bit. Well, I mean, he's, mostly loose skin, but if you tightened it all
Yeah.
up, there might be a rump there.
Yeah.
So then right under him would be Jersey Devil, which would
Okay.
then make this, the Chupacabra under Jersey Devil, and then we would bottom the list out so far at Wendigo. And then we have a couple honorable mentions, because we talked about a couple aliens and a couple demons in one of our episodes that we were like, honorable mention, but this cake chart specifically is for cryptids.
All right. I can get behind that listing. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then I'm sure as we talk about more, it'll just grow. I can't wait to have the world's biggest graph chart, and it's going to be about cryptid ass.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. We'll be the first first
That will
ones to
be
do
your
it.
legacy. That's how you will be remembered.
Exactly.
Guinness Book of
Oh, you're
World
the guys,
Records.
you're
like
the
that
guys with the ass chart. You're the guys with the ass chart. Yes, sir, that's me.
Well, listen, like on TikTok, I'm becoming known as the Verguba guy just because that's a random word that I threw out there. So like there are
Magical
worse things.
Vergubas.
Yeah. Well, no, that whole thing was literally like at work. It was. I was trying to make my one coworker laugh, and we were just like talking something sex related, and I just said Verguba because we were like throwing out as many fun words like vajayjay, vajonga, stuff like that, and then I just said Verguba, and it stuck. And so then I was like, the general doesn't want to say vagina, so yeah, let's say Verguba, and it's caught on. People are it's in the lexicon now.
Yeah, I love it.
Dang.
So yeah,
Verguba
it's-
and the Ding
so
Dong
there-
of Doom.
yeah, I promise you, there are worse things to be known for than the cake chart.
Yeah.
Boo-boo in the barbecue sphere.
Hell yeah!
Yeah. You know what, Joey? That might be the perfect segue, because as far as I am on Chupacabra research, I'm tapped.
I am too. I am dead in the water. I ain't got nothing
So
else. We've gone over the most recent report. We've gone
Yep.
into the cryptid itself. We've discussed what it can and maybe cannot be. And personally, I'm on the fence that it is just human neglect for their animals. But
Guys, I'm currently looking out my window right now, and it looks like there is a lizard wolf sucking the blood out of my neighbor's dog.
new
No,
crypt-
that's my neighbor. Never mind. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Did you get video? Do you have video of
Yes.
this?
Oh, that's just Tom
It
being
could
a
be really
goofball.
grainy though.
No.
Really great.
Yeah, for real.
Really grainy video.
It's definitely shot on an iPhone 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got one of them old timey like 1920s prank cameras. I'm gonna use. I just
It's shot on my old Nokia. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, for real. But where I was going with that, it was a perfect segue. It immediately devolved, and that's fine. That's what we're about here. But to be good guests, I feel like we should let you start, Brad. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you?
Sure thing. So you can find myself and my business partner Alex at Gark House Productions. That's GARKE House Productions. We had to put the E on the end just to be pretentious. We're both
Gark.
on YouTube and on TikTok. YouTube is both of us. TikTok is mostly just me as the general. We do a bunch of like monster hunting spoofs. We watched a lot of like Discovery Channel, like hunting Bigfoot and stuff like that, and decided to just kind of base a channel around making fun of that, but in a sort of loving manner. Like we're not hating on anybody. It's more like just a humorous love letter to that sort of stuff. But yeah, we're over there. We're monetized on TikTok. We're trying real freaking hard to get monetized on YouTube.
Hey,
So go give him a like and a subscribe.
Hell yeah.
And then Joey, what about you, buddy? Buddy, old pal, old friend, old chum?
Well, you guys have heard me say it a million times, and I will say it a million more. You guys are more than welcome to find me, Nate, and my other partner, Antonio, over on Patchwork Games. So if you head over to patreon.com/patchworkgames, all one word, you guys can go ahead and check out our website there and buy our goods. As you know, I am an avid TTRPG creator, so I have 2 games out now, both Parasitic Paradigm and Reemergence, both the PDF and physical version. So if you guys are interested in getting either of those, feel free to go ahead and do that. Or if you want to get special discounts on our upcoming merch and stuff like that, feel free to send us $1 on our little monthly stuff. We have the $1, $3, $7, and $10 tiers in which you guys can get exclusive discounts, exclusive content from us, and a bunch of other stuff. So you guys will be seeing a ton of that getting updated here this year. I'm really excited to get into it with Nate and Antonio this year. It's going to be super fun, and I'm making a lot of updates to all of our channels here at Patchwork Media. And so I'd just like to thank all of you that are subscribed to us, and I really, really appreciate it, every single one of you. And of course, I have to say, if you are interested in a really super delicious, awesome powder from w.gg, please go check them out as well. It helps support the channel and helps us keeping our media ad-free and everything for you guys so that we can keep doing what we love and keep doing what we do. And so, as a segue, don't forget that if you ever need some really cool voice acting gig, go hit up my man here, Nate. Go ahead and plug your stuff.
Like that's me. And so if you're looking for somebody to do a voice of anything, you can find me at my website, blzzrdwzzrd, blizzardwizard.com. I am also on all socials except X and Snapchat under the same name, Blizzard Wizard. You can find me, man, I'm even on Casting Call Club, alright? You can find me like everywhere if you need some voice work done. And if you do go to Patchwork Media's Patreon and subscribe and you hit that $10, email me with proof you did it and I'll send you something special. It might not be great, but it'll be something special. It'll be from the bottom of my heart and the heart of my bottom. So
just show and hold.
But we love all our... Yeah, we love all our delvers. Please keep liking, please keep commenting, subscribing, sharing, telling all your friends. Do what I do. I find a way to bring this up in every conversation. I'm like, oh, that's some nice Jello you're eating. You know what else jiggos like that? Mothman's cake. And then boom, just dive into it.
Exactly. And don't forget that we come back every week with more cryptids, mythos, hauntings, and all sorts of finagling things, aliens, you know it. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm really excited to say that I really enjoyed this episode. Thanks, Brad, for coming on here. It was super awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Again, we love doing cryptids. We love doing all this. And if you guys want to go ahead and share and like this, it would be much appreciated. Please go follow our friend here at Garkhouse Productions. And I guess this is goodbye, isn't it, Nate? Until next time, everybody.
It's only farewell for now.
Yep. Come with us next time as we take a delve deeper once again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.